Coming up on this edition of Falmouth in Focus, we'll feature highlights from the popular Holidays by the Sea weekend, speak with a local family whose Christmas lights display draws a crowd, visit the Falmouth Firefighters Homeless for the Holidays event, and take a look at a local effort to introduce the sport of rugby to young athletes. All this and much more on this edition of Falmouth in Focus.
Hello and welcome to Falmouth in Focus. We're proud to bring you this collaborative current affairs program that features staff, member, and community input. I'm Liz Lerner, the Membership and Outreach Coordinator for FCTV. We'll start this episode with our Government Channel 15 feature where we update you on happenings from Town Hall. This edition has information regarding wind turbines in town and issues surrounding parking downtown and in Woods Hole. Selections are chosen based on community impact.
Somebody could buy the land next to your house, put a windmill there, and it supplies power for those 10 houses, and there's nothing you could do about it.
And we said no thanks to that idea.
And we did say no thank you.
The Planning Board discussed their wind energy bylaw and whether or not they need to update or change any portion of the bylaw.
But just in general, is that we were way too restrictive, stopping at 250 kilowatts. So we may want to revisit just that and see if there's any new equipment out there that's super quiet, and maybe there's some little increase that we could make to that.
Things haven't really changed. Technology and all that, it's not just noise that is the issue. There are other nuances of these machines that create problems. So.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion that we not consider doing anything to our bylaw as it currently exists.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous.
The Zoning Board of Appeals heard testimony in regards to acoustical impacts of both Wind 1 and Wind 2 as the special permit hearing for Wind 2 continued in front of the board.
My name is Mike Katarian. I'm with Noise Control Engineering. I've got a 26-slide PowerPoint that I want to walk everyone through. And some of it's a bit technical, and I apologize for that. So, so conclusions here. What are we saying, what aren't we saying? We successfully collected the data inside the house on 4 visits and Okinawa residents. Readily identifiable acoustic signature that can be definitively attributable to Wind 1, possibly Wind 2. Wind turbines are a unique source of sound, and I think that represents what WindTag was trying to do. Although they haven't finalized, DEP hasn't issued any new guidelines yet. Physically larger than any other source of noise that when Mass DEP or anyone writing a noise ordinance.
It's in its developmental stages. There are modes of operation that turbines can get into that reduce the noise level. I believe that General Electric has looked into some modifications to the blade's trailing edge.
The hearing was continued to January 14th as more aspects of the special permit are brought forward to the board. Police Chief Edward Dunn discussed parking with the Board of Selectmen. The areas of largest concern were Main Street, Falmouth Heights, and Woods Hole.
And is the Heights area continued during the winter to be a parking problem?
Parking problem?
I mean, if these are parking control issues.
We still have issues around the ball field because of the basketball court and things like that. And again, the beaches aren't full, so that lot's always open now. So,
but it's not. I mean, if the meters are there, maybe to create turnover as opposed to creative interview.
Correct.
There are parking spaces.
There are parking spaces elsewhere that they could park.
Okay. And we'll move on to the 4th bullet, which is the request of the Woods Hole community. I think this is from the Community Association, also from the Business Association, of the bagging of the meters on Woods Hole. It's the same limited ones that were done last year, which I think is 28 of them? 28 or 29. Most of the ones that are on Luscombe Avenue and on Water Street to the Candle House.
I move it as written.
Bags are already covering some parking meters in Woods Hole on Water and Luscombe Street. Parking will be free in those spaces for 2 hours, and then the car should be moved to another location. According to the Falmouth Police Department, those rules will be in effect until the end of March 2016. To watch the Planning, Zoning, and Selectmen meetings in their entirety, please view them on our Government Channel 15 on-demand page on our website. Falmouth firefighters went homeless for 101 hours last week in an attempt to raise money, unwrap toys, and canned goods to benefit the Falmouth Service Center. Government Channel 15 gives us the details of this event.
My name is Mike Mueller. I'm one of the firefighters here in town, and along with a couple of the other guys, we got involved with there's a Bourne firefighter. He's retired now. 14 years ago, he started this event. It's called Homeless for the Holidays, where he teamed up with Pixie 103, and he camped out for 103 hours in Buzzards Bay, collecting toys for tots and canned goods. And we started it the last 2 years. We were at the PAL building on Brickhelm Road, and kind of off the beaten path, but we still did pretty well. We decided as a group that we wanted to try and get somewhere closer to the limelight, you know, right down on the Main Street drag. So we approached a few different property owners, and Candy McKnight, who owns this lot, was nice enough to allow us to have our event here. So the Service Center, they certainly support us, but what we do is we kind of do most of the legwork, and they help us with some advertising and some publishing out to their people. And of course they give us their van, and they give us, we have the van right now because their box truck is busy today and tomorrow, and then tomorrow midday or so we should be getting their box truck, and it just makes it easier because we just shuffle the toys as they come in and the canned goods as they come in right into the van, and then when it gets full we drive it down there and unload it into their warehouse, and then their volunteers sort things out from there. So they're basically they support us, and they're thrilled to be the beneficiary of this event, and that's how we like it, because we like to keep our efforts local here in the community.
Thank you to Jeff Wyman and Michael Sperling for that piece. The Hour of Code is a global movement whose mission is to introduce people everywhere to computer science. Falmouth took part in this effort recently at the high school. Educational Channel 14's Ryan Weber brings us this next piece.
The Hour of Code is a movement that was started a few years ago by a nonprofit organization, code.org, to promote young students into possible careers in computer science. Today, thousands, actually millions of students all around the world participate in the Hour of Code, in which students use kid-friendly activities in which to learn basic concepts of computer programming. We in Falmouth are very fortunate to have students involved in the Hour of Code activities, because it not only is introducing them to potential careers down the line, but also in exposing them to additional opportunities for problem-solving skills.
We are dedicated to better connecting Falmouth students and teachers with all the wonderful STEM resources in town. So here we are tonight at the Family Night of Code, and I've invited 4 local software experts here to explain to these students what they do for a living. First, down at the very far end in the orange overalls, we have Heidi Murata. She works with the NOAA Fisheries at the Woods Hole Aquarium, and she's explaining how she developed software to help monitor fish populations. And next to Heidi is Tom Campbell. He's a software engineer, runs his own business, and has done a lot of work in the oceanography field developing software. And next to Tom is John Howland from Hui. He's worked on a lot of Huis, ROVs, and unmanned submersibles, doing all sorts of software work. And last but not least is Pam DeFreitas right behind me. She's from Convention Data Services, and she's an interesting person who started off not knowing she was that interested in computers, but has worked her way up to become a software engineer, and this is her second year of coming to explain to the students what she does for a living. So we're hoping everybody gets a good chance to see where to put all their expertise to use.
Right behind me are East Falmouth Elementary School students showing off our Dash and Dot robots that were provided through a grant from the FEF Foundation, which is pretty amazing. They are coding the robots to have them do different activities. We also have some unplugged activities, which do not involve any technology, to learn the basics of coding, different iPad apps that we're using, and we are also featuring the website Scratch and code.org with their different coding activities.
I built a structure that was as tall as a cup out of just, what was it called? Little gummies and toothpicks, but had to be as tall as a cup and hold a book. And it was computer science without plugs, I think. It took a long time, but I never gave up.
Well, mostly the kids brought me here. They heard it in school in the intercom, and both my 5-year-old Ian and my 10-year-old Julia really wanted to come. And mostly were the robots. They heard that there were going to be robots, so they said we could not miss that. But now Julie is exploring the green screen and the editing studio and the filmmaking, and my son is working with those three-dimensional structures that they're making, and they're really having a great time. And I think that coding, programming, all these activities should be actually really taught starting at an elementary level, because it will be very important for our kids to learn at a young age.
Thank you to Ryan for that look at the Hour of Code event. Rugby isn't a sport you often see in the States, especially for kids, but a local business owner is trying to change that. FCTV contributor Brian Sullivan brings us this next piece.
Here we go real fast. We're going to run some lines.
Here's a scene that might be unfamiliar to some parents now, but they could get used to it for years to come. It's kids practicing rugby. While rugby remains the second most popular sport in the world behind soccer, it's been slow to catch on here in the States. When Coach Jeff Dardenne started the program last year, he wanted to give kids who may not be playing other highly competitive sports an alternative.
There's nothing to do that's structured for kids in the middle of the winter and in the middle of the summer that's really just based about fun. The backbone of rugby is about brotherhood, good sportsmanship, and critical thinking skills. So I thought, let's break rugby down to the youth level, and that's why we started Warriors Youth Rugby program here in Falmouth.
The group gets together once a week for an hour-and-a-half practice. This is week number 2 of a 6-week session. If all goes well, hopefully they'll do another 6 weeks, and then after that, they'll just look forward to playing in the summer. Now, with more attention being paid to head injuries than ever before, Dardenne explains that because of the style of contact between the players in rugby, as opposed to the collision style of football, rugby is actually more risk-averse.
If you look at the statistics, rugby's got a lower injury rate than in pretty much any other sport, to tell you the truth. It's got a lower concussion rate. My business is FAST. We're a McKaylee Center satellite, which is the world-leading expert on youth concussion, and even their studies conclude that rugby's got a lower concussion and injury rate than even youth football.
Teaching the kids how to hit without injury is the first priority.
The first thing they're learning is how to play the game. They're not contacting anybody. It's non-contact for one full season for everybody. And then they're learning how to properly tackle without hurting themselves or the other player.
As president of the Massachusetts Youth Rugby Organization, Bill Good was on hand to give a little instruction for the kids and also to check to see that the program is running smoothly. As part of his job, he goes around to all of the state's youth leagues to monitor their progress and make sure that everyone is having a good time.
The first thing is obvious as it sounds. We want the kids to have fun. We want them to enjoy themselves. The game involves a lot of running, passing, kicking, a lot of skills. Everybody gets to handle the ball. Everybody plays offense and defense. So the biggest thing, I think, is teamwork, sportsmanship, and respect. Those are the things that we really want to push, because that's what makes you successful in this game. There's too many players in the game. It's too complicated for one player to change everything around. You've got to work as a team if you want to win.
For Dardenne, this is just the start of a much bigger endeavor he plans to undertake.
I started the program a year ago where we practiced all winter, and then in the summer, we have a summer program too. Next year I'm starting high school rugby with a lot of the guys I worked with over the last summer. And that's just it, is to develop a town club that hopefully there'll be a boys and a girls that people can just come and enjoy without it being so overbearing that they have to win. And it's really just about the fun of the sport and just doing something for the community.
At Falmouth Academy, I'm Brian Sullivan for Falmouth in Focus.
Thank you, Brian, for that look at local rugby. We're going to take a quick break to introduce you to a local cat that's available for adoption from People for Cats. But when we return, get ready for some holiday sights, a visit with a local family who's known for their Christmas lights display, a stop at the Bourne National Cemetery where wreaths are being laid, and the sights and sounds from Holidays by the Sea.
This is Lucy, a 6-year-old cat with blue eyes, and like a lot of cats that are white and have blue eyes, Lucy is deaf. So you need to be careful when you approach her and try not to startle her. As you can see, she is good-natured. She could stand to lose a little bit of weight. She's a big eater. People for Cats is looking for either an adoption or foster situation for her. She would be best as an only cat, and probably a house that doesn't have children either. She has a very good disposition and is very nice with people. Come in and meet her. She likes company. People for Cats are open on Wednesdays from 4 to 6 p.m. and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., but will be closed on Saturday, December 26th. The shelter is located on 44 Beagle Lane in T-Ticket. Visit the website peopleforcats.org for more information.
Welcome back. For years now, the LaRufa family has been entertaining the masses with their Christmas lights display. This year, FCTV got the chance to talk to them about their popular holiday lights.
We typically start around November 1st, and I do it an hour here, an hour there. I probably spend about 5 to 7 days total setting it all up. Again, I don't try to do it in one big push because it loses some of the fun. It's like you don't want to be out here for 8 hours playing with it. Both my sons help, my wife helps, you know, from holding the ladders to getting dead tools to helping roll all the cords up at the end of the year to put it away. So it does keep us outside, which is nice because you know, what else are you going to do from October 15th to it snows? So that started last year kind of as a joke, but also kind of as we've had a bit of a following, and there are people and cars we recognize every night that come by, and was playing around and said, oh, wouldn't it be funny if we made a Facebook page so that people could post comments and we could let people know when we were having trouble. Like last year, we had lost one of the controllers. So half of the house was dead for a couple of weeks while I had to get it repaired. So I didn't want, the joke has always been if we ever move, I always afraid, the town will revolt if it's not lit up, so.
Yeah, I tell my friends, hey, the lights are set up, come on by. It's fun, and it's pretty cool to see all the stuff that you're gonna make. Yeah, I like it. It gets me into the Christmas spirit.
Thank you to Bob Fenstermaker for that piece. Holidays by the Sea, which is put on by the Falmouth Chamber of Commerce, had another successful year, partly thanks to some fantastic weather. We wanted to share with you some of the highlights of the weekend, including the Jingle Jog, Seafaring Santa's arrival, the lighting of the Village Green, and of course, the Christmas Parade.
Ready, set, go!
Oh, and the town crier.
There's David Vieira kicking off the Falmouth Christmas Parade.
The old police sheriff cars and today's cars.
Absolutely. Here you go, Davidson.
Oh yes, the Mr. and Miss Clipper from the Falmouth High School. Big foam pit that they have.
Wow, look at those. That's great.
And Jingles, our 9-foot balloon cat.
Oh, look at that. All the dogs from Friends of Falmouth Dogs. Lawrence School Bands. Great to have them again this year. Well,
that line coming up
it's
here.
almost like the Macy's Day's Thanksgiving Parade.
Right.
Maybe starting a trend
Right.
here.
There's the Morris Pond School Band coming up.
Well, this is a crowd pleaser here. The Brian Baruch Pipe Band.
Oh, based in Falmouth, very good.
Absolutely. The 300 Committee Land Trust starting their float off with a great tractor.
Letters to
Santa, that's clever. I love that. The most beautiful horses.
Well, it's the Mashpee Wampanoag Tribe. Here's the Falmouth Public Library coming up.
And that's another first this year. We're really excited for the Falmouth Public Library to have a float in our parade. The hours and dedication everyone spent on this really shows their commitment and their values to their organization and our community. So again,
A lot of sponsors.
very impressive right there. Absolutely gorgeous. And I think today, there comes Santa Claus.
The Christmas Parade can be seen in its entirety on Public Channel 13. Just check out our website, fctv.org, for the program schedule. A long-standing tradition took place on December 12th, the laying of wreaths on the gravestones of veterans at Bourne National Cemetery. FCTV members Kevin Lynch and Jay Zavala, veterans themselves, were there to bring us this next piece.
And today is the Knights of Columbus, Massachusetts State Council Wreaths Across America. Kevin, what are you doing? And tell us a little bit about the event.
Well, today I'll be handing out the wreaths that will be ceremonially placed during the ceremony. For the event, it's actually this year we had the most wreaths we've ever had at this location. It's going to be over 6,000. Usually a good turnout. We're able to get wreaths on a lot of the graves. We haven't been able to get them on all. It's a good opportunity for a lot of young people like myself and other people within the community, whether they're old, young, veterans, civilian. It's all able to come together for a good cause to be able to put wreaths on all these veterans and their loved ones' graves.
When you see a veteran or an active duty member of the armed services, take a moment to say thank you. We owe them our way of life, and a moment of your time is well spent. I would now like to introduce my second keynote speaker, Mrs. Kay McGuire, Gold Star mother of Private First Class Daniel A.C. McGuire, who was killed in Iraq in 2008.
Every stone has a story. Here, the hills, the meadows, and the fields are filled with generations of our nation's guardians. Only a tiny glimpse of their story is revealed by what is engraved on the stone. Every stone has a story, and every story is worth knowing. So as you lay wreaths today, please take the time to learn the story revealed on the stone. Look at their service. Do the math between the date of birth and their deaths. Some grew old. Some lives were cut painfully short. Whisper the name out loud. Think of their families. Linger and collect the stories. Thank you for being here. Thank you for remembering. Thank you for honoring. Thank you for teaching the next generation the value of freedom. God bless. Semper Fidelis.
Thank you to Kevin and Jay for their work on that piece. We're going to take one more break, but when we come back, we'll have Troy Clarkson's take on the work of the Falmouth Preservation Alliance.
It doesn't matter whether you're celebrating Christmas, Hanukkah, or Kwanzaa.
Happy holidays from FCTV Youth Producers!
Welcome back. Troy's Take This episode features the Falmouth Preservation Alliance and the recent map they developed with artist Karen Ronaldo.
Thanks, Liz. You know, during this season of giving, it's important to reflect on the many gifts that this wonderful community gives us. And one of the most important gifts that we receive every day from Falmouth is its rich and storied history. So I'm down here at the old stone dock, you know, from 1806 to 1908. This spot right here on Surf Drive Beach was the center of commerce for the town of Falmouth. And the old stone dock behind me was the hub of that commerce. And there's an organization that's working to preserve and really catalog this history and the history of so many other wonderful pieces of property. So we have the special chance to talk to those folks today and to learn some more about the rich history of this community. The Falmouth Preservation Alliance is working to preserve and really capture the history of many of the wonderful assets of this community. One of the ways to do that is through this great map in the Old Stone Dock Association and the Belvedere Plains Association, two associations that are right here near the ocean and near this former hub of commerce, are working to capture all of that history in this wonderful map. So Kevin, you guys helped put this together, and it really is an amazing depiction of some of the rich history here.
It really is. Barbara Wayand of the Preservation Alliance came up with the idea to capture much of Falmouth's history through these preservation maps. And she chose the Stone Dock area as the first map to be produced in the series. I think wisely so, since this is where the town actually built from. This is where the proprietors landed. This is where the Wampanoags had their original encampment. And this was the original site because of the freshwater of Sitter's Pond and the salt pond over here, and then of course access to the Atlantic Ocean through this area.
So Barbara, I'm looking at this beautiful map, and people hear Belvedere Plains, but it's really Belvedere Plain, and Karen Ronaldo, the artist, and I talked about that, but that has a story in and of itself, so tell us about that.
Well, all these years it was called Belvedere Plains, and it really is singular. It is one plain. When the map of the creation of Belvedere Plain in the middle of the 1800s was planned, they intended to name it Belvedere Plain, and that means beautiful view. As you stand here today, it still is a beautiful view, just as it was over 100 years ago, and something that we've always been very proud of.
Falmouth has such a rich history and many gifts that give to us each day that we enjoy and savor that rich history. One of those gifts, of course, is Falmouth's artist in residence, Karen Ronaldo, whose amazing mind and talented hand put together this map. I was able to visit her at her office and saw some of the pieces of tracing paper, hundreds of them, that put this together. The Falmouth Preservation Alliance, along with the Old Stone Dock Association and the Belvedere Plains Association, have teamed up together. And you can get a copy of this map. The website's right there on your screen, and we hope that you support the amazing mission of these organizations to help preserve this community we all love so much. I'm Falmouth Enterprise columnist Troy Clarkson, and that's my take. Back to you, Liz.
Thank you to Troy for another great take. Here at Falmouth in Focus, we want to involve the community in the show. Send us your photos or videos and be featured on Falmouth in Focus by using the hashtag Falmouth in Focus and MyFalmouth. You can also send your media to liz@fctv.org. Just let us know where your photo or video was taken in town. That wraps up our show for today. We want to leave you with some footage from FCTV member Marilyn Rowland of the Falmouth Flute Choir playing a recent holiday concert at the Royal Nursing Home on Main Street. Thank you for joining us for this edition of Falmouth in Focus. Tune in next time for a special Year in Review. Have a great holiday, and we'll see you in 2016.